Hello everyone and welcome back to the SteemTrail Gaming News. Today is the 14th June of 2018. My name is Kralizec and I will be your host for the evening. So today we got two topics for you guys. First, we're going to talk about the fact that Intel is planning to bring their own discrete graphics card to the market in 2020. That's really soon. And secondly, we're going to talk about a little bit of an issue that Sony seems to have with Fortnite on the Switch. But let's start with talking about Intel and their planned graphics cards. So this is a huge deal. Right now, we only have two competitors on the discrete graphics market, and to be honest, it's not a great situation, especially in the high end. In the high end, Nvidia is dominating AMD to, wow, just almost the same way Intel was dominating AMD in CPUs until Ryzen came out. Maybe even more, to be honest. Yes, AMD does have a few high-end GPUs. They have the Vega 56 and the Vega 64. The 56 is capable of performing at around the levels of a 1070 to a 1070 Ti, depending on the game. And the 64 is probably at the level of a 1080. But if you want to go above that, there's no other choice than going Nvidia. Because they have the 1080 Ti and they have the Titan V100, I think it's called. And those are just somewhere else. They're on a completely different level compared to the rest of the field. And we do know that there are new graphics cards coming next year from Nvidia, or maybe even this year. We're not sure on that. But we don't know if anything is coming from AMD really in the high end, so the gap is only probably going to get bigger. And here comes Intel. So in a tweet by Intel News that was made on the 12th, Intel's first discrete GPU coming in 2020. And seriously, I really don't care who I have my graphics cards or my CPU from. If it's AMD, then it's AMD. If it's Nvidia, then it's Nvidia. If it's going to be Intel, then it's going to be Intel. I'm going to buy the one that has the amount of performance that I want for the best price. And at this moment, it is Nvidia, undoubtedly so. But hopefully in a few years, that could be either of the three. So what should be mentioned is there is a good chance that Intel will not be attacking the very top of the top. He's not going to go at the cream of the cream because they have been working on discrete GPUs probably for some time. Creating such a complex thing as a graphics card takes literally years. But they probably are going to tackle the mainstream, the place where the largest amounts of graphics cards are actually sold, something along the lines of AMD 560 to 580, or along the lines of a 1050 from Nvidia to maybe even a 1060. Though 1060 is starting to be like, in economic terms, it would be called upper middle class. But it's still a very good card on which you can play at 1080p almost anything at full details. So I have a 1070. I still haven't encountered a game I couldn't play at full details. And yeah, I'm gaming at 1080p, but that's because I also want to process that footage. If I was just purely gaming for fun, I would probably have a 2K monitor, and then I would be in the situation of playing most of the stuff on ultra, some of the stuff on high. We know that Intel has been working on this for quite some time, probably ever since the old Larrabee project, which you can see as the preview picture. That's the old Larrabee graphics cards, which, well, surprisingly weren't that bad from what we heard. But they also snatched up some pretty big names when it comes to graphics technology. So, for example, they recently got Kaduri, who worked as the head of Radeon Technologies Group, and he spearheaded the launch of the Vega architecture. They also hired Chris Hook, who also is a former AMD employee, like from the very old time. He worked at AMD for 17 freaking years, even back when it was still known as ATI. So this is just amazing thing, and I can't wait to see what they come up with. Again, I doubt they will actually come with something high-end. I'm guessing more of a mainstream solution will be their first attempt. But you need to remember, this is their first, well, this will be their first GPU in freaking 20 years. Seriously. The last discrete GPU we got from Intel was the i740, which was still an AGP card. Do you guys even remember AGP? I do. I remember buying NVIDIA 6600 GT that was still for AGP, and it was the best card available for that because, well, if you wanted to go better, the AGP slot just couldn't handle that much data. You needed to go PCI Express lanes. So that was just bonkers that it's been so long. Obviously, we don't have any information of like performance, what sort of market they're really going to tackle. It's all speculation. But I'm very glad to see that we will have a new competitor on the discrete graphics cards market, as more competition is always a good thing for a market. Okay, let's move on to our second piece of news. We're going to talk about the world's most favorite game, Fortnite, which, by the way, recently reached 125 million players. That's just insane. I still remember when it was a big deal that World of Warcraft has 12 million players. That's 1/10 of this number. And obviously the average gamer population has grown, so that probably has an impact as well. And it's also probably because of the fact that Fortnite is much more accessible than World of Warcraft ever was. So Fortnite has recently been released for the Nintendo Switch. And that was a really good thing for the Switch, as it means now people who were considering, okay, so I could buy either a PlayStation or a console or a PC or a Switch. What can I play on the Switch that I want to play? And very obviously, because it is the most played game in the world right now, a pretty big number of players are going to answer Fortnite. And you could play it on PC, you could play it on Xbox, you could play it on PlayStation, but you couldn't have played it at the Nintendo Switch. But now you can. But not always. If you are already a PlayStation Fortnite player, oh, then you cannot use your account on the Switch. And vice versa. There is an error message that says, oh, you just cannot join. And it was discovered that if your account is already tied to the PlayStation network, well, then you cannot log on other consoles. That's really bad. And the worst thing about this was PlayStation's or Sony's response. So they responded, we're always open to hearing what the PlayStation community is interested in to enhance their gaming experience. With more than 80 million monthly active PlayStation Network users, we built a huge community of gamers who can play together on Fortnite and all titles. We've also offered Fortnite crossplay support with PC, Mac, iOS, and Android devices, expanding the opportunity for Fortnite fans on PlayStation 4 to play with even more gamers on their platform. We have nothing further to add beyond this at this point. So you can see they didn't say squash. Like, literally nothing was said about the issue in this quote-unquote response. This wasn't a response, this was just a PR statement because, well, we need to put out something, but we really don't know what we're going to do at this point. And obviously this issue will need to be fixed. And it will be Epic that will be demanding it is fixed as soon as possible for a pretty simple reason. One of the huge selling points of Fortnite compared to PUBG, its largest competitor, even though its numbers are humbling compared to Fortnite, is the fact that, well, you keep all your progress on all of the platforms. That's not the case for PUBG at the moment. So, Sony essentially forcing you to make a new account where you don't have the skins you bought, where you don't have the cool new pickaxe you bought or the new glider you bought, is really a problem. It is a problem because it not only makes Sony look just even worse as a company in my eyes, as a consumer quote-unquote friendly company, because they are not, but it also casts a shade on Epic, and they certainly don't want any shades thrown at them. They want to appear as much of a friendly company as they can, because, well, if you're handling such a huge thing as Fortnite currently is, you need to be very, very careful with how the public perceives you. Remember, just 2 days ago, we talked about the fact that a 9-year-old girl had to be taken into literal rehab because she was addicted to Fortnite. So anything that actually impacts their public image in a negative way is a big deal to them, and they will make sure that it goes away as quickly as possible. Otherwise, I really want to see Sony respond with like, oh yeah, our bad, we screwed up, we're fixing it as quickly as we can, we're really sorry, and maybe like strike a deal with Epic and say, you know what, all the PlayStation users will get, I don't know, $10 worth of V-Bucks in Fortnite because of our mishap, and then pay Epic for it. That would be the honorable thing to do. Not to be like, oh, you see, we're the cool guys, we provide all these opportunities for gamers, but don't mention this little thing, but see, we provide all these things for our gamers. No. Stand up to your mistakes, Sony. That is the honorable way. You need to be honorable. For fuck's sakes. I was really proud of you after E3. You had one of the best conferences, but you screwed it up immediately. Like, why do you do that, Sony? Why? I don't understand. Please fix this as soon as possible. Like, ideally yesterday. And with that being said, that's going to be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please consider giving us the thumbs up here on YouTube and subscribing to the channel. If you are watching on Steemtrail, maybe you want to give us an upvote and follow the blog. Either way, be sure to leave a comment and be sure to tune in tomorrow for more gaming news, as we are your source of daily gaming news every single day. Well, technically that's not true, because tomorrow and on Saturday, there will be no live show. I will try to make at least like text-based news. I'm going on a 2-day vacation, so sorry guys. But with that, that's really the end. See you guys later with more gaming content.